Welcome to Tech Brothers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install SQL Server 2014. Installation of SQL Server 2014 is not much different from installation of SQL Server 2012. Um, the things that we require in order to install SQL Server 2014, I have written down here. The first thing that we need is media file containing setup of SQL Server 2014. It could be ISO file, or if you have a DVD, that's well and good. But the ISO file, I'm going to install enterprise version of SQL Server 2012. I'm sorry, 2014. So if you don't have MSDN subscription, I have downloaded the ISO file from my MSDN subscription. If you don't have that, you can go to Microsoft website and you can download SQL Server 2014 evaluation version of Enterprise. The second thing that we need, that is a Windows feature, .NET Framework 3.5. So this is very important. The reason it's important because if you don't install or add this feature to Windows, right in the end of installation, 2014 or 2012 will let you go through the installation, but right before it completes, it errors out. The installation is not complete and you get an error, and the error is a bit confusing. The resolution to that error is really to install .NET Framework 3.5 prior to installation of SQL Server 2014. I have a separate video that shows exact error and the resolution. And the installation features, we're gonna in this demo we're going to install database engine, analysis services, reporting services, and management tool. Really, the basic installation of SQL Server 2014. There are other features that's available. I am going to put a separate video for those features, and I'm going to, because the installation and configuration of those features require a bit more time. That's why I decided to put it in a separate video. So I'll be adding those features after I install SQL Server 2014 here. If you wanted to follow that, how to install those features and configure those features, you can follow my other videos. So I have downloaded ISO file. When you download ISO file from Microsoft or MSDN subscription, you can't see really the setup files. So you have to convert that into a drive. You can Windows 8.1 has a feature. If you right click on ISO file, it'll let you mount that. So let's go through the installation. Here's my ISO file. That is SQL Server 2014 Enterprise Edition, 64-bit. I'll right click on that and mount it. It'll mount it to the next available drive in the system. So you can see the setup file now. You right click on setup and run as administrator. It is going to take a minute just because I'm doing it on my laptop. If you have a beefy server or your laptop is pretty beefy, it's not going to take a long time. But for this demo, I'm using my laptop, so it's going to take a few seconds to install SQL Server, or if you're planning to upgrade SQL Server 2012 to 2014, this is your friend right here. You can run Upgrade Advisor and see if every prereq and all the things that you need in order to upgrade from 2012 to 2014 are there. So I'm gonna skip that because we're just doing brand new installation. We're going to install SQL Server in standalone mode. I'll click on that. If you see here, there are two options. One is to install SQL Server in standalone mode, and other is a failover cluster. I have other videos that will show you how to install SQL Server in cluster mode, but right now in this installation, we're gonna go ahead with the SQL Server standalone installation. So click on that. Now, it's gonna check some rules against the operating system that you have. If they are not met, it'll give you error right now. And this is a screen that if you wanted to use Microsoft Update to check for updates, even though it's recommended, guys, I don't really use that because whenever there are updates, I would like to first see what the impacts of those updates are before I install it. If you check this, this is gonna check it and keep bothering you. Uh, so I usually leave it alone. This is same thing that we haven't checked that, so it's not gonna it's gonna it's gonna ignore that part, and it's telling you that that's not recommended, so we're fine with that. Install setup files. uh, in this demo it's fine to see the warnings, but if you're doing in production you need to look at the warnings, because there could be an issue in production environment. But if you're doing even in other dev and test environments, you should really look at the warning. But for this demo, I'm not going to worry about that, since this is not error. In case of error, it won't let you go next. So if there is error that you see in here, you have to fix it before you click next. So I'm going to install SQL Server Feature Installation. So click Next. Here we're going to choose the components that we wanted to install. So we're going to do Database Engine Services, which is um, and we're also going to install Replication, Full Text, Data Quality Services. We're going to leave it alone. We're not going to install that. We'll install it later on. Analysis Services, Reporting in native mode. Um, and here is the directory where it's going to install. In my laptop I don't have any other drive, but you can change your drive for this if you have other drives available in your server or in your home network. Click Next. Here it asks you that whether you wanted to go with the default instance name, which is MS SQL Server. It depends on your requirement. You can leave it alone, just a default instance, but I'm going to use it as a named instance, which is Tech Brothers SQL. If you click on instance ID, it's going to pick up the ID that you just gave the named instance, and it'll show you that the SQL Server directory is going to be this, analysis services directory is going to be this, and reporting services directory is going to be this. So you click next. Here, if you're in your domain, working for your organization, they have a domain and you have a service accounts. Usually all the organizations in the DBAs have a checklist to use separate service account for SQL Server Agent, separate service account for SQL Server Database Engine, analysis services, reporting services, so forth. But I'm not connected to any domain right now, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna use the default accounts. But if you use a service account, you would, as soon as you will change this, it'll ask you the password. So you need to know that if you're using service account, you need to know the password for that account. So you need to provide the password here. Collation, if you're especially for the folks overseas, if you're not in United States, and if your requirements are that you wanted to use a different collation than default, the default collation is case insensitive, so I'm gonna keep it that way. But if you need to change it, you can change it during installation, or you can change it after the installation as well, and I'll show you how. Here the server configuration, the authentication mode in SQL Server. There are two authentication modes. One is Windows authentication mode, and other is mixed mode, which means SQL Server authentication mode and Windows authentication mode. If you keep the Windows authentication mode, you cannot create any SQL Server user. So you can change these modes later on as well, but I would recommend you always use the mix mode. As soon as you click on the mix mode, it's going to ask you the SA password, system administrator password, and also you can add up here what accounts that you wanted on this SQL Server instance as a sysadmin. So I click on mix mode, provide the SA password. This should be strong. And I'm going to add the current user. If you have more users that you wanted to add as sysadmin, you can click add here and add those users. Data directories, this is very important again. You need to have your system databases separate from your user databases. So depends on your storage, you can provide that path. I would recommend you to keep your user database data files separate than your user database log files, and same with tempdb. If you can afford more storage, always configure tempdb a bit more than any other database, because this is the most busy database when SQL Server runs. Backup directory, you can use storage that's not very expensive for backup directory, because the backups are going to be there, and um, that'll be fine not to use a really expensive storage. File stream, if you wanted to enable the file stream, depends on your requirement for transaction SQL access. You can enable it. I'm gonna leave it disabled for this demo purposes. So we're gonna click on next. This is the analysis services. What SQL Server mode, analysis services mode you wanted to choose. Multi-dimensional and data mining mode is pretty slick. It will let you do the data mining as well as all the OLAP cubes and everything that you wanted to do with them for business intelligence. You can do that. You can also use a tabular mode using Excel add-ins and other stuff with analysis services. So right now it's asking you that who is going to be the admin for analysis services. You can add the current user. If you're connected again with your AD, then you can select any users who is going to be the analysis services administrator. Same with the data directories for analysis services. You can change this later on, but since I don't have any other drive, I'm gonna keep it default. This is reporting services. It's asking you that if you wanted to install and configure at the same time. My recommendation to everyone is that just install reporting services. Don't configure it during the installation. You can configure it later, and that's the same thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to configure reporting services in this video. However, I'll configure it later. It's going to show you the summary, what's already installed. Mostly they are the prereq if you're installing SQL Server brand new. But let's say that you install this SQL Server one instance and you wanted to install another instance, then there would be some features that's already installed, and it'll tell you up here that's already installed. And also the feature that you're going to install right now, this file can be accessed at following location right here, or you can really copy paste and save this file so that you know what you installed and where you installed, even though you can look at it later, but just for the sake of looking at summary. If I click install, it's going to install SQL Server. It's going to take time. I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once the installation is completed. If I run into any issue, I'll share that issue with you and resolution to it. So I'm going to click on install. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to pause the video. Once it's completed, I'll come back to this. I hope this video helps. We're back with the successful installation of SQL Server 2014. As you can see, all the features that we have selected during installation, they are installed successfully. Let's fire up a management studio and see if we can connect to SQL Server right now. I'm going to open up Management Studio. When you first time open Management Studio, it takes a little bit time. And here's our instance that we installed. I'm going to keep the authentication mode Windows authentication, so I'm going to connect. There it is. SQL Server is online. Agent is online. Sometimes when you install SQL Server brand new and keep agent services on manual, usually it's not started. You can right click on agent and start the agent. Thank you for watching. I hope it helps.